So the members of the church are called Lavian Satanists, and they practice magic. And one of the magic that they practice is called greater or high magic. And this consists of three rituals, which is distraction, hate, lust, compassion, or love. And it applies to ritual practices and is to focus on one's emotions for a specific purpose, done alone by the Satanists for better concentration. So they do it by themselves. So when they do this type of magic, it says that it's just for one's emotion for a specific purpose, and they do it alone. The Satanist, that he does it by himself for better concentration. Let's go back to one to the rule number to the rules. Um, you can go back to. So if you can see, on rule number 7, it says acknowledge the power of magic. So they, in other words, it's for them to acknowledge and to understand that the power of knowledge that they have employed, if it's successfully obtained by their desires or a specific purpose done by them, and then if it's denied, if that magic is denied, they will lose all that what they have obtained. So that's just one of the practices, one of the magics, which is called higher, greater, or high magic. The next practice that they have or ritual, it's called lesser or low magic. This is another practice, and this is basically a practice of manipulation. And they apply this, it's applied by psychology and according to one's will. And basically this magic involves sentiment, wonder, and glamours. This is also a ritual or a ceremony formed by groups of the Church of Satan. So this is by groups. And I mean, there's not much explanation to tell you about what the picture that you see here. This is just, you see here Anton LeBay doing the magic or rituals, and on one side, and then on the other side, that's another another picture of Antoine and doing the ritual. You see in the back that there's there's what they portray also. If Brother Nathan is going to explain that symbol, but they also denied all that stuff. Um, not all magic has the same intention. So what they do, not all the magic has the same intention. We did understand that the greater magic, it's done individual, and then we do understand that lesser or low magic is done by groups of the Church of Satan. There's a lot more information basically to this low magic. That I mean, I don't even want to go to that point, but this is just to touch a couple subjects of what they practice, the rituals, and what they do. Again, not all magic has the same intentions, and each magic or each practitioner or each member of the church can or will use different approaches. Let's move to the next slide. What do you see here? Anybody can answer the question, and it's really visible. So we see the video games here, and there are different forms of entertainment. We know we have movies, music, internet, video games. Those are just formal entertainments, and they all can be used for fun. But something interesting that I was able to come across or research about this is that one member of the Church of Satan said that video games is the perfect training ground for them. And I'll repeat that. It says that that video games are the perfect training ground for them because it promotes sin, satanic values, satanic symbols. He also said that few things are more satanic than video games. And to see the satanic symbols is refreshing and exciting for him. We know that there's also Christians playing this type of videos, been innocent about it, but we kind of know what these videos or games portray. Take a look at the picture number 2. It says Demon Slayer. Look at the Left 4 Dead game, and if I can name them all, I mean, I'm sure we're all familiar with the Mortal Kombat games. what they portray, the symbols that we see, what basically what it's played there. It's just violence, death, killing, and that's what I was able to read when this church member of the Satanic church said that is so refreshing and exciting to see when when he sees all these symbols, all these things in this type of games, especially who they know who is being I don't want to say attacked, but who's the one playing these games, right? Because we know that companies pay millions of dollars to get this product or these games into people's hand, and we know who is their main target, and we know who is the ones that play these games, the youth, right? So their message is again violence, killing, soul scoping, demon possession. Later down the road, if I have the opportunity, I can share that with you, with the family member that was playing these type of games, and I can share with you what happened to him. And this is before I was converted to Christianity. Um, Even by me knowing that these games were no good, I will talk to him and I'll let him know, look, what you're playing is not good. But he will laugh about it. He will just ignore it. But then things started to happen to him personally. I leave it at that. So this is just like a scope out of the reality. People get too much into the games that at the end of the day, they put these things before everything else. And that's it on the starting up, brother Nathan will continue.
Okay, so what I will be going over is all the symbols of the Satanic Church. And so here's a basic little list of them and their names. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the sigil of Baphomet, which is the bottom right there with the circle and the pentagram, which is a very popular symbol for the Satanic Church. And of course, we're going to talk about Baphomet himself, who this deity is, why he's so important to the Satanic movement, and of course, we're also going to talk about the Eye of Providence, which is another very popular symbol we see a lot. It isn't necessarily satanic, but it's a symbol always associated with Satanism. And so the sigil of Baphomet, this one is listed as the official insignia of the Church of Satan. It features an inverted pentagram and the head of Baphomet, which is a goat-like figure. We'll get into him later on. But originally, Anton LaVey, the founder of the Satanic Church, found this in a book. This I don't know how to pronounce it, but it was written by a French occultist named I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but basically he was an author who was an occultist, and he wrote it way back in 1897. And LaVey found it, and he decided to make it the official symbol for his church. And the white version, the one you see on the left, is what he found in the book. And I think the Hebrew letters on the end of it mean something. I think it translates to Leviathan or something like that. And that's the left version is the one he found in the book, and the right, which is the black version, is the one that the modern Satanic Church uses frequently. So Baphomet, who is Baphomet? Well, it was originally a deity worshipped by the Knights Templar, which was a Catholic military order. Um, uh, Basically, it was just the Catholic Church's their military power. These knights, I'm sure you've heard of them before, and he's this deity is typically referred to as the sabbatic goat, and usually has a goat head and the wings as you see there. And this obviously became one of the main symbols of Satanism because of the sigil of Baphomet, that popular symbol we just saw right now. And of course, um, the Eye of Providence, which is interestingly enough, we doing research on it, it's listed as a Christian symbol, and it's referred to as the all-seeing eye of God. But I'm pretty sure we know what God they're referring to. And yeah, it's so weird to see that they even put it on top of Jesus in the, what do you call that, the final dinner he has with his disciples again.
The Lord's Supper.
Yeah, the Last Supper. Yeah, they even put it in during the Renaissance era. They put it above him, on the painting, which is so weird. And of course, it is also seen on the $1 bill, the United States $1 bill. I wish I didn't crop the picture that much, but yeah, basically, it's kind of meant to, I don't know, it's, to me, what it really symbolizes is the New World Order, or kind of paving the way for, the Antichrist to become, the God of the world. And I think that's kind of what it's really referring to when they mean God, because I really doubt they're referring to the God that we know. And so I have a verse here. If anybody would like to volunteer, it's actually 3 verses. This basically, what does the Bible say about these, all this, everything, these satanic practices? Can I get a volunteer?
Yeah, I can read it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm.
Okay, thank you. And what this verse tells us is that it's kind of warning us that all these symbols, the idea of Satanism, it's just another ploy of Satan to kind of, stray us away from our real goal, which should be to, make sure our soul is saved. And it will often trick us, make us think that this is the right path, but in reality, it isn't. And we have to remember that it's not a physical battle with us. It's never going to be something like that. It's always against, the spirit in the spiritual world. It's always, between, God and the devil, pretty much. And we, the best thing that we can really do is to, like it says, put the armor of God on. It was just a lesson we always learned as kids. The armor of God, be prepared for these attacks, to have the wisdom to kind of see through the lies and to find out the real truth of what's going on. So basically, just be careful out there. Satanic symbols are everywhere, and it's easy to get kind of distracted and, oh, forget about my spiritual life. But in reality, we always need to have that one-on-one with God. It's important to never lose that as our daily lives go on. Even after we finish the study, maybe just take some time to pray tonight, or look up a quick verse if you want. Yeah. Thank you. That's my part. If anyone has any questions, they can ask me. Any additional questions about what I just discussed?
No, I just want to say that was good. Good job, Nathan. Thank you for putting time into the study and explaining those symbols. Yeah, it's really. I think what you said there about the eye, when I was doing a little bit of background for the third eye, that was another word that was brought up, the eye, the overseeing eye. And then I did notice that it's obviously on the dollar. But I didn't know, at least I haven't really paid attention that it's on top of paintings of Jesus Christ in the Last Supper. Um, but like how we already went over Catholicism, it does have aspects of Satanism in it. So sadly, not even really that surprised. But thank you, Nathan. And I did like that Bible verse. I think it fits really good into the study because we too have to try to put the whole armor of God to stand firm against Satan's devices, because he doesn't quit. He just tries to find new ways to get us to fall and new ways for us to walk away. But we have to keep persevering and keep not only ourselves accountable, um, but others too, and then keep going and fighting the good fight. So thank you, Nathan.
And thank you for your comments. And yeah, that was a very interesting part. I didn't know that they associated so heavily with Christianity, which is, I consider that like blasphemy. Yeah. Anybody else? If not, we can just move on.
Yeah, I also really liked learning about the symbols. One of the ones that stood out to me was also the eye, and what you mentioned about how it's on the dollar and how it's like how you think it could be related to like the New World Order and like the one currency and all that. I hadn't really thought about that in that way. Like Matthew said, like I just had seen it on the dollar and I was like, oh, that's weird. But yeah, I guess that could make sense. And yeah, that's what I want to say.
Yeah, thank you for your comments.
I'll add to that. I thought it was really interesting too, specifically that the symbol of the goat, I forgot the name of it, was worshipped by the Catholic like knights. I obviously I realized that the Catholic Church has like a lot of like doing research on it for the study and stuff. I realized that like there's like a lot of like high priest and like witchcraft and all that stuff, but I didn't realize it was that related to Satanism specifically as a religion. So yeah, I don't know, I thought that was really interesting, and there's probably a lot more to that. And I don't know, like it's weird that, yeah, I think one thing that stuck with me that the pastor once said in a preaching was that like people say that Rome fell, but like the Roman Catholic Church is still so influential and so strong. Like they kind of just went like behind the scenes, you know what I'm saying? Like they still have a lot of power politically, militarily, and whatever, and also a lot of influence in the way this country was founded. And it's just weird to see like a lot of things sound like conspiracy theories or like a lot like kind of extreme, you know, like there's like the movie National Treasure and like the thing about the pyramids, and it like there's just so many different things that it can get a little bit like too fantasy, you know, too convoluted. But then there's some things like this that are like it's just history, like that's just who they worship, like that was their god, and then like it's related to the dollar, it's related to Satanism, like why is that, you know? So that just kind of like solidifies my understanding of like things like something like the New World Order, like how you mentioned the Antichrist, and yeah, like just the spiritual forces that are behind even like a nation or like just a religion. And yeah, so really interesting study also, Omar, about the video games.
Yeah. It's also crazy to think that these symbols have lasted like centuries. It's crazy how long they lasted and that they meant the same thing over and over. Yeah. If any of the adults want to comment, that'd be nice.
Yeah, it's just what you said at your last comment. I mean, it's so true how these symbols have prevalecido, you know, all this time. I don't know how to say it in English, how
for a long time. And with time, the devil just changes things, but the devil, as long as he's promoting what he wants to, and maybe a different name, different way, but his influence has been right since the beginning, has been in this world since the beginning. And also something else that you guys mentioned is so true. We are battling Satan on a daily basis, and it's not physical, because sometimes it's sad that maybe we might have some interaction that we don't like with the person. Maybe I don't like the way you think, or because you believe different than I do, and we don't see more than that, which is sometimes the devil using people like that to maybe sacarnos de nuestras casillas, to tempt you. And I'm talking about maybe when you try to evangelize other people that believe differently, or any other people that you encounter. It's sad that sometimes we can't see past that. The devil is the one that is speaking behind these people. It's a spiritual battle, and I don't know if you guys notice it, that lately that's what we fight more. It's more of a spiritual battle than physical. Nothing physical that we need to do. It's mostly all spiritual. It's like in your mind. The devil, his name, right, it means accuser. He's always accusing us. Sometimes we want to serve God, and in our minds he tells you, what, you're not worthy. Look how you act. Look at what you do. And maybe you try to serve God and you're not good enough, and you don't do this right. These accusations are like a daily thing in our minds and in our hearts. And I think that could be like one of the strongest battles that we as Christians encounter when we want to grow spiritually. And not only that in a person, but out there, especially when we're out there in the world, trying to shine the light of God. We see a lot of opposition in every areas. We see it all over now. It's just depressing to watch the news, because it's sad the way we see the devil advancing in huge paces. Like, he's advancing so much, so many things are happening so quickly. Like, we see literally like the Bible coming to life. And what we want to do is we want to be prepared so we can know how to face the world, how to face people that maybe come to us and try to make us feel that we're maybe aliens, that we don't belong here because of the way we believe. You need to believe like we do. That's what they try. That's the message they're sending out to us. So how important it is for us really to be filled with God's Spirit every day, feel his strength in our lives, so we can battle against this spiritual battle that's going on. And behind it, of course, it's the devil. The devil is behind all this Satanism and things that are going on. And what they were teaching us today, it's so true. All these symbols that we see how the devil has ha prevalecido in many things. And then the video games, that also caught my attention so much. It's so true. There's a lot of violence in many of them. There's a lot of blood, and like Brother Omar said, it's like a perfect training when these youth, especially, right? The youth are playing these video games. It's perfect training to make disciples of Satan. And I've heard stories, I don't know if you guys have, I've heard stories of many kids that just focus on video games. Like, that's all they do. Many of them don't even go out at all. And then you see many things happening. I don't know, many of the shootings and stuff like that has happened. They usually always bring that in the news as well. They mention that that's something that does affect them mentally. And yeah, we see how the physical, psychological problems in many people, how it's deteriorating in a lot of humans, a lot of mental sicknesses, that they give them medication, they take them into these places where they give them therapy, but nothing happens. And we know the solution. It's only Jesus Christ. And it's so sad, especially when you see young people, very young people going through moments like that they're bipolar, or all kinds of sicknesses. And we know that behind all this is the devil trying to destroy humanity. So yeah, guys, let's be alert. Let's pay attention to all these things that if we focus so much on them, it could influence us. Be careful what you put in your minds, what you put in your hearts, what your eyes are seeing. Be very, very careful, because it's God in your life, right? Remember, never forget, God is living in your life. It's his Spirit in there. that is living in you. And then we want to be more like Jesus, not more like Satan. And yeah, something true that Nathan said. It's, you know, they say it's an all-seeing eye of God. What God, right? The devil. So I just wanted to add that. I'll leave it for someone else to comment. Thank you, guys.